One of our most familiar images of Roman life is statues like these, dressed in flowing togas, always white or cream-coloured with lots of folds and drapes. Male citizens had to wear these heavy garments for special occasions, a bit like a modern suit. For everyday occasions, it seems the Romans and Pompeians preferred to dress rather differently. But the toga signalled a man's status in Roman society. Before the toga's put on, it's simply a very large crescent-shaped piece of material.
The toga was worn by all Roman citizens, and by the 1st century you actually needed a slave to help put you on because it had become such a complicated garment. It actually started off just as a simple mantle that they could plough the fields with and dance in, but it soon became sort of ceremonial dress. It actually became symbol of Romans. The Greeks wore just a rectangular mantle, and so therefore it slowly got more and more ornate, longer and longer bits of cloth, so in the end it's actually sort of at least 5 metres of cloth, again showing that rich people can actually afford this. It was worn only sort of on very special occasions. There were some people who never wore a toga in their entire life until they were dressed in it for their funeral, whilst other people had to wear it if they were in the law courts in particular. You had to wear it. Right, if you bring your arm up. It was a very cumbersome garment, absolutely hated wearing it. It's 2 layers of thick wool. You're always spending your time rearranging all the folds. This arm you can't do anything except hold it up. So many people were very glad never to ever wear it at all.
But on social occasions like dinner parties, the Pompeians often avoided wearing the hated togas and wore brightly coloured clothes. Women liked wearing bright colours too, but they would have had simple garments for everyday wear.
Laura's wearing the form of tunic that most well-off Pompeian women would have worn, long down to the ground and with these sleeves which have got little gaps in, just tied together in little knots forming decorative gaps, and then belted with a simple cord high under the bust. To show off her wealth, she would have worn some jewellery. So this is a short length of pearls. The Romans particularly liked pearls as a form of jewellery. It's quite a short little chain. They didn't really go in for plunging necklines. If they really wanted to show off, they wore thin silk clothes so the whole body was visible. To finish off now, you need a mantle. This is a long rectangle of cloth. This one's made out of wool, so it's quite a rich, dark colour. Red was particularly popular. And it's not shaped like the male toga is. That just goes on that side, and then you bring this round under your arm, and if you want to throw that back over your shoulder, then if you bring your hand out from underneath all those folds, and just, yes, make sure all the folds fall in interesting patterns. To go outside, Laura would have to have her head covered, so she just needs to pull part of the mantle at the back and just have it up over her head. Now she's ready to go outside. We don't know much about what they wore underneath these clothes. There's a lot of evidence for them wearing a breastband, which is just a long length of cloth just wrapped round and round and round, which basically flattens you. But they don't seem to have worn briefs at all. A rich woman would have worn makeup. It was very fashionable to be pale in those days because if you had a suntan, that meant you were working outside. So they went for a very white face, and it was white. It was chalk or white lead, which is poisonous. Then red rouge, black round the eyes and the eyebrows, but not much lipstick, by the seams. But it's a very stark, very white and red, and men basically hated it.
Archaeologists found these items on the dressing table of a Pompeian woman. There are a range of small glass bottles with different paints and creams, and this is a fine ivory comb for her hair. The evidence tells us that elaborately styled hair was an important part of a Roman woman's look. Roman women, like today's women, were great followers of fashion. These paintings from Pompeii show that although hairstyles changed quickly, they were always elaborate, often using extra hair pieces, padding, pins, and for the very rich, entire wigs. Rich women would have had a slave to help them with their hair. The poor had no time or money for hairstyles and fashion, so we can only guess how they looked because there are few statues of them.